Okay, today I'm going to be demonstrating how to break apart a lobster for eating. If you want to know how to cook a lobster, please watch my other video on cooking a lobster in the Maine tradition. This lobster has a lot of meat on it. For being an under 2 pound lobster. One thing you look for is claws. I ideally like to see the claw size a little bigger, but you get what you pay for. This claw is noticeably bigger than this, so this will have more meat. So if you're splitting a lobster with somebody, make sure you pick this one because it will have more meat inside. The first thing I do is I let the lobster cool for a little bit before I start breaking them apart, and that's because there is hot water that is still inside and I don't want to burn myself. So I have cooled him down for about 5 minutes. I also put cool water on him to expedite the process. But again, the first thing I tend to do is to break this tail section off. There's a lot of really good meat in there and I want to get started on it because I'm hungry. So I just rip it apart like this, and everybody does it a little bit different. I'm only demonstrating how I tend to do it. And then I like to take the shell off so it can cool the body cavity a little more. So I'm just going to peel this part off. And there's nothing really good in here in my humble opinion. I've never eaten this and I never will. Some people probably do, but I don't. So I'm going to find something to throw all this meat into. All the shells rather. So I take the shells and I just toss them aside. Once you have the tail section taken apart, the best way I think is to just crush it. You can use a nutcracker if you desire, if this is a little too messy for you, but I just break it apart. You want to be careful because there are some sharp pieces of the shell, and just work on freeing up that meat. This is some of the best meat of the lobster, so you definitely want to take your time with it. It's worth taking time on. And there. I'm going to throw this piece away. If you like to eat all of the lobster, you can save all the extra little white pieces in there, but I tend not to. And if you really like lobster, you can also take, and there's a little bit of meat in there. I'll put that aside. I might get that later. But this is the piece you really want to make sure that you save. So once you've had this piece of meat taken out, there's a section of this that doesn't taste good at all that you want to peel out. I think it's the poop chute. Right in here, this piece right here, it runs right in the middle groove of the meat. You want to just take that out, and your meat will taste a lot better if you take that out and just throw it away. There's still a little bit in here, so I'm still going to work at it. There we go. Okay, so now this piece right here is ready to dip and enjoy. So I'm just going to put that aside, as I am this section here. Make sure you've taken all of that tube out, and I think I've got it all. So I'm going to put that aside and enjoy that momentarily. Now you're left with the shell. Some people like to eat this green stuff. I enjoy it, so I'm just going to scrape it aside. You can also eat the sides, all these pieces of meat in here. You can peel off and enjoy. And in between each section is meat. So if you crack it open, you can see that there's meat inside there, chunks. So really start taking these apart, and I just pull the legs off and I attack the meat chunks in here. They're really good. I also take the time to, if it's at least 1.5 pound lobster, I don't tend to do it on chick lobsters, but I will actually break apart the legs and go after the meat in here. You can see that's a pretty good piece of meat, and you can either suck it like a straw. I've seen people do that, or you can just break it, continue to break the shell until you get at the meat. A toothpick or a metal pick will aid you as you do that, but there is meat in each of the legs if you take the time to get at it. And again, you have meat throughout the body. Just continue to crack it, and right above where the legs meet the body is where there's some good meat. And don't forget to enjoy the legs too. The last part, and I'll just demonstrate on one of these claws, just twist the claws right off. There's really good meat throughout the claw, especially in here. I'm going to start by just taking this and snapping it like so, and I've divided the meat into two pieces. In this section here, and if I had the crackers, lobster crackers, it would be a little easier to get at, but at the time being I just have this jar opener, which may work, just to crack it open. And you just want to try to push out the meat using my thumb here, but once you have the meat out, you can put that aside. And in the claw section, I start by just taking the claw, the lower claw, and I just snap that right out, get that out of the way, and you can see the meat here is still connected to the rest of the claw. So then you just want to break open the claw using either a cracker or just your hands, as I've done here, just by crushing. It is a messy process, so have a lot of napkins when you're doing this. And if you're at a restaurant, it's a little more difficult because you want to try to be neat and have good manners. And eating lobsters is just going to be messy. So don't be afraid to put on a bib, a lobster bib. And then once that's cracked open, you can easily pull out the rest of the claw meat there. And that's a very good piece of meat. So, and again, be generous when you dip it in the butter. I think it tastes wonderful with a lot of butter on it. So I did end up putting a full stick of butter into this little bowl, and I microwaved it so that it's a liquid butter now. And all I have to do is dip the meat pieces that I've separated from the body and enjoy. So I hope you found this video helpful and that you enjoy your lobster.